in the middle of the Andes Mountains, our plane crashed.
It was the only way to survive.
To eat our friends. I thought nothing worse could happen to us anymore.
Eight of our friends died in the avalanche. We really felt death much closer.
I told the guys, look, I'm going to leave. Come with me. I cannot do it alone. I'm afraid. I'm very afraid. Come with me.
An airplane crashed on a flight from Montevideo, Uruguay to Santiago, Chile.
My life changed in a second.
We were 29 guys alive. So you're alone in the middle of the Andes, no food, nothing, condemned to die.
I don't want to die. The only thing we have the body of our friends.
We decided to eat. That was the only way to honor life, to stay alive, to fight against death.
This group survived one of the most unsurvivable stories in the history of the human being. The actual moment of leaving that fuselage is one of the biggest decisions in my life. Nando, how did you have the courage to take that decision? And courage doesn't come from mental strength sometimes. It comes from fear, from fear. Roberto, he said, okay, I'll go with you. We had found the flight map on the plane. So we made 1,000 calculations over there with altitude, head, wing, speed of the airplane, a lot of calculations. And we came to the conclusion that we were about 8 kilometers away from a town whose name was Curicó. But on that equation, one of the items was wrong, direction of the flight. So instead of being 8 kilometers from Curicó, we were 100 kilometers from Curicó. I told the guys, look, we're going to leave. In a day and a half, we'll be back with helicopters and rescue. Our climbing equipment was actually not very good. I had my rugby boots. I had 3 pairs of socks. I had 2 shirts. And I had a light pullover and a very light cotton jacket, very thin. I had also a climbing stick. It was an aluminum stick that I broke from the frame of the fuselage. We had backpacks that we had made with blue jeans and cables to carry food. We carried, I think, about 2.5 kilos of meat over there, and that was our expedition equipment.
On December 12th, I remember very vividly, they took on their shoulders our lives.
I had convinced Roberto and Tintin that that was the day to leave. So the morning that we left, we embraced the other guys. I was so afraid.
It was a very special moment too, because it was our last hope. We were sure that the other side of that mountain was the green valleys of Chile that we have in our minds all the time.
All together say, okay, you're going to reach the mountain, you're going to reach Chile.
And we say goodbye in a very emotional moment. Our life was just going on their backs.
I never looked back. I started walking and I knew I was not going back to that fuselage. I was not going back. We were completely surrounded by 18,000 feet mountains in the middle of a glacier. We didn't have any horizon, anything. So to the west was Chile and this huge mountain. So we had to climb that mountain. We didn't have any idea of the height of that mountain. And there are no references, no trees, no houses, nothing. So we say, okay, by midday we will be on the summit of this mountain, and by the afternoon we're being rescued. And then we started to climb and climb and climb and climb and climb and climb and climb.
It's incredible in the mountains, the distance. So they walk all day, and they were there very close to us.
And it got steeper and steeper and steeper and steeper and steeper and very steep. And we had to make like steps with the side and the front part of our rugby boots. And we had to make steps and keep on climbing and climbing, but slowly. But the night caught us before we wanted. We looked for some rocks to protect us from the wind, because we knew that the temperature at night would drop some 25, 30 degrees at least.
We saw the 3 black points in the white snow there. And they continue walking in the second day.
We have hope, of course, but at the same time some doubts, because they were very weak, and that huge mountain.
empezamos a prepararnos una posible segunda expedición si ellos no llegaban. Yo salí un día a subir, a trepar la montaña, un poco para entrenarnos y otro poco para ver si llegamos a los cuerpos que habían quedado allá arriba. Tuve una experiencia muy fuerte, porque después que habíamos subido como 1500 metros, el primer cuerpo que veo con la cara media quemada y los bigotes naranjados eran mi primo Daniel. Fue muy fuerte. For 3 days, we saw them climbing this white, huge mountain. It was incredible.
The next day, we kept on climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing through the rocks, through the snow, through the ice. Steeper and steeper until finally I reached the summit. And when I looked and I wanted to see roads, a town, trees, houses, something like that, and everything that I saw was mountains, mountains, and nothing but mountains until the horizon over there. Roberto gets there to the summit, and we said, man, I think we have had it. This is it. This is it. Tintin was waiting behind, but myself and Roberto, I reached the summit, finally. And the summit of a mountain is not huge. It's about 4 or 5 meters. But you feeling significant on those mountains. So that was a moment in life where I thought that I crossed the invisible doors of death. But I crossed those invisible doors and I say, I won't stop until my face hits the ground, the ice, and I die. I'll keep on going, because every step that I'll give, I'll be closer to my Father. And I said, Roberto, come with me. I cannot do it alone. Come with me. I need you. I said, okay, I'll go with you. And we took a decision that would be the biggest decision in the survival trek out. So we said, Tintin, you're tired, give us your food, go back to the airplane, and the two of us, Roberto and myself, will go faster and further in less time than the three of us. The two of us kept going, and Tintin went back to the fuselage.
At the beginning, the waiting was very nice because we had nothing else to do, and the weather was beautiful. But then we get a little bit worried. It was much more difficult than we thought. And then when Tintin came down, what happened with the other two? They died. What happened?
Nos asusta cuando vuelve Tintín, que dice, no, está dificilísimo, y tanto que les tuve que dejar mi comida. Entonces ahí que se nos prendió un poco la luz de alerta.
He explained us the other side of the mountain. They are not the green valleys of Chile, but more mountains and rocks and mountains, snow and ice.
So when we were waiting, we don't want to say, perhaps they died, perhaps they don't reach civilization. We don't want to say that words, but in our heads, we think we have this idea.
The days passing, and then we were getting really very worried. And Christmas was getting close, and it was absolutely impossible to imagine to spend Christmas over there and our parents just suffering in Montevideo.
You look at the face of your friends, and they were all not speaking a lot. If the bodies end, what are we going to do? We are going to kill each other.
Everything that you can imagine that a mountain has, we went by with Roberto. For 7 days, we walked on snow, ice. Crevasses. Precipices. Mountains, whatever you can imagine. Until we felt that we were losing our strength completely. Losing our strength. We were dying. We were dying. But then on the 7 days and a half, the snow ended. We started walking on rocks and loose shale and rocks into a valley. Then on the 8th day, we found a river. We found a river. And we remembered what we learned in school, in geography. Where does the water go to? It goes to the ocean. It goes to another river. It goes down. So we said, Roberto, let's follow this river. And we started following that river. Until we reached a green valley. And on that valley, we saw something that was incredible. We saw a cow. We saw a cow. I said, Roberto, are there wild cows? Because there are wild horses in this planet. Can there be wild cows? And I said, no, if there's a cow, there are humans nearby. And that's when at the end of that day, Roberto, with a very favorable voice, says, Nando, I see a man. I see a man on a horse. Where? I said, and I looked, and about 400 yards away at the other side of a river, down the slope, I see a man on a horse. So I started shouting and shouting. And the man on the horse on the other side of the river stops the horse and looks at me. And that was the first glimpse of life, of hope in 72 days for me. When this man stops the horse and looks at me, and I said, Jesus, maybe I can live, maybe I can survive. We couldn't communicate with voices because the noise of the water was very loud. He threw me a rock and wrapped around the rock a piece of paper and a pencil. And I wrote a message. I come from a plane that crashed in the Andes. I'm Uruguayan. We need help. I have 14 friends wounded on the fuselage. Where are we? Please come and help us. We need food. So I wrapped it around the stone and I threw it across the river. And he said, okay, wait there. He goes to his horse, gets 2 pieces of bread, throws it across the river. And he went away on the horse to look for help.
We went out every morning early with a small radio to listen to the news about us. People just talk about Christmas and summer, the crowded beaches of Montevideo and the beautiful weather. It was so difficult to listen to those news. But the 22nd of December, the beautiful morning, clear skies and warm weather, and we start listening to the names of Canessa and Parral. We get so excited, but we didn't get the idea what they're talking about. With many electrostatic interception, And in one of the Chilean radios, suddenly a clear, beautiful sound of the Ave Maria, the Bach Uno Ave Maria. We start listening to that beautiful music in that beautiful stage. And for me, it was the confirmation that they reached the civilization, Nando and Roberto. Give the news to the other guys. And in a second, they listen to the news. Expressions of their faces changes absolutely. The eyes bright again and a smile. Yeah, what the moments of our lives.
I said, Roberto, do you think he's coming back? And he said, yeah, he's coming back. Are you sure? I'm sure. So we spent the whole night there, daydreaming about the rescue. And early the next morning, we looked and some horses were coming, some military men, and the peasant was coming on horseback also. We knew that we had saved our lives. We come back from another world. But then, about 5-10 minutes behind the military men, we heard some different noises. Some journalists on horseback, on foot with cameras started to arrive. And we didn't understand why. We didn't know that the whole world was looking for us.
¿Qué mensaje podrías entregarle tú en este momento a tus padres? ¿Qué le dirías tú ahora?
A mi padre que uno de los pensamientos fundamentales que me mantuvo vivo durante dos meses fue tratar de verlo de nuevo, ya que sé que en este momento me va a estar precisando y yo a él mucho, ¿no? Que pronto espero estar con él.
We couldn't understand what was going on. Roberto and myself sitting and being pushed by microphones. We still didn't know who was alive or who, if some of our friends had died. The helicopters arrived, so they had to take us on horseback to where the helicopters were. And the head of the rescue team comes to me and said, where are the other guys? Because they didn't have a clue. And they displayed a map over there. And I said, okay, if we are here, this is the river here. Then there are two valleys there that connect and some mountains, and they are on the other side of the mountains. And they looked at me, they looked at themselves. No, that's Argentina. I mean, you couldn't have crossed the Andes on foot. And they said, okay, you have to guide us. The conditions were very bad, a lot of turbulence. I was very afraid. I said, Jesus, I'm going to get killed on this helicopter. It's not worth it, Nando, it's not worth it. I don't want to die. But I said, we have to keep on going. They crossed the mountains through a pass and they entered Argentina. And I told the pilot, keep on climbing, keep on climbing. And he kept on climbing, until he said, okay, I see it.
Oh, what a moment, and what a beautiful sound too. The sound of the helicopters. Even now, I listen to that noise and I feel so emotional.
He found us. That was another miracle.
And as soon as the helicopter touched down, they opened the door, they jumped out, they threw some bags out, and I opened this door, and two of my friends dove into the helicopter, and the pilot left. He said, let's go, let's go, let's go.
And we have a very difficult flight, and we start laughing. This is ridiculous. And the green valleys of Chile appear at last. Oh, so beautiful, green. And we went down, and I felt as I was being born again.
When we arrived over there, Eduardo, Coche, they come out of the helicopters and they tackled me, kissing me, embracing me. And they were so happy. It's a moment that I will never forget.
I put my feet on the grass. I took a piece of grass and ate it, and all the pain was left behind. And the happiness was filling my soul, my mind, and my body once again.
We had very mixed feelings, no? Of ecstasy and happiness. But on the other hand, we were sad because we lost friends, and we knew that the family were suffering, of course, and mothers and brothers and sisters.
My first thought was that everybody had survived. If someone survives, everybody survives. Right after that, I heard there are 16 in total out of 45. And so it started to be a matter of chance. We didn't know the names. They said in the radio that the list was going to be broadcasted.
We were all listening, waiting for the list to come.
The list was too small. I didn't know what could happen.
I remember looking at my hands and counting. Carlitos Páez, Nando Parrado, counting. Roberto Canessa,
Roy Harley, Gustavo Servino,
José Luis Inciarte. In one moment, I heard José Luis Inciarte. Couldn't believe that moment. I was completely nervous and crying, and it is the more important day of my life.
I expect my brother to be on the list. And of course the list was finished and he wasn't.
I want to hear Fernando, but it wasn't so. Fernando was dead.
So it was a mixture of feelings because I felt so happy, but I felt so sorry for my friends.
Los facultativos, asombrados por la vitalidad de los sobrevivientes, no han encontrado una explicación lógica al increíble suceso que conmovió a Latinoamérica.
Once we were in the hospital, some of the doctors obviously said, I mean, guys, over there's no food. How did you survive? You're very weak, but you're okay.
La sociedad nos mimó mucho a los sobrevivientes, pero era un poco el miedo de nuestros padres y el miedo nuestro también, de cómo la sociedad iba a aceptar el cómo sobrevivimos. Es un tabú muy fuerte. ¿Cómo le iba a caer a los padres? ¿Cómo le iba a caer a la iglesia?
Many of us, they were very, very worried about that. Everybody was waiting for the news or comment or explanation of what we ate, how we could survive.
We were so absolutely sure of what we had done. I mean, there was absolutely no problem with us. The problem might have been by the press. The press wants to have something to talk about, and this was a fantastic subject, obviously.
I remember in Santiago, just with the papers on the street, it was starting to get all the news of the cannibals and blah, blah, blah.
And we just sincerely told them, we will talk once that we get to Uruguay. We'll give a press conference and we'll explain everything. And that's what happened.
Respecto a algunos enfoques un poco sensacionalistas de nuestra prensa, ¿tu opinión?
Creo que la prensa de todo el mundo, en la prensa de todo el mundo hay prensa buena y prensa mala, ¿no? Que aquí como es parte del mundo.
Todos los periodistas de todo lado del mundo que habían venido llamados por el tabú, pero estuvo muy bien contado por Pancho Delgado.
He explained everything and said it was like communion. God gave us his body and his blood. And that's what our friends did for us.
La última cena repartió su cuerpo y sangre a todos sus apóstoles, ahí nos estaba dando a entender que nosotros debíamos hacer lo mismo.
Pancho Delgado was so eloquent, so clear in his explanation that everybody rose and clapped.
I think it was a perfect explanation. We were very, very happy to know that there were survivors. And on top of that, we were able to hear about our brother or our other friends, what happened to them.
Roberto Canessa came to my house, and then we knew how Fernando died. Fernando died on the night of the accident. It was good news for me that he didn't suffer so much as others did.
The big surprise for us was that Arturo was one of the last ones to die. So by the time he stopped eating, and that's what led to his death, I think it was despair, thinking that he would not get out of there.
When I get back home, I didn't have my mother. I didn't have my sister. So my father told me, "Thank you for coming back. Thank you for coming back. But let's not destroy the second part of our only life." And I said, "I've suffered enough. I haven't forgotten. I remember them with great love, with great care. I think about them. I pray for them. But I never look back."
And so I live a life full of happiness, trying to be full of truth and make the best to others.
I dreamed of having him 1 year, 2 years, 3 years more, to try to tell him many things I haven't tell him. And now we have lived 50 years together, so everything's okay.
Now everybody knows the end of this story. Every December 22nd, we get together to celebrate, commemorate, and remember the ones who didn't come back. "16 guys came out of there. Teamwork, love, trust into the group is what made this group so great. Because this group survived one of the most unsurvivable stories in the history of the human being.
You can't just keep it. That's the law.
Finders keepers. That's the law. Who'd have thought, yeah, you and me, partners in crime.
So, who do we think this is?
And you've told me everything.
No more lies. I want my money.
A new drama, Finders Keepers, starts on Wednesday night at 9 on Channel 5 and My 5.